Hello, friends. How are you doing today? And as you know, that in our this streaming, this show, historical reflection, we discuss about the past, about the important incident which has shaped us and our nation. And today also we will be discussing about one of the crucial aspect about the freedom of press. And to discuss this, we have prominent historian from India, Mrs. Meeta Joshi. So, welcome, Mrs. Meeta Joshi. How are you doing today?
Namaskar, Kanchan. I am fine. How are you?
I'm fine, and as usual, today we are discussing about historical reflection, and the freedom and the liberty and the freedom of press is quite crucial in any developed society. So now we had been discussing about the freedom and independence, and I would like to actually understand because without freedom of press or without putting forward the ideas which can take along a lot of people along with the same idea. So I would like to ask you, what is the role of press and in media with Indian national movement?
Okay. So, to start with, I must tell you that pen is always mightier than the sword. So, same happened at the time of Indian national movement and the time period between 1870 to 1918. That was a time period when, there were agitations, there were some gatherings, but people were not so much aware of what was happening in the country. So then the press came in action because they were the people through newspapers, they were able to reach out to a large section of population in India, and they started publishing various newspapers. If we talk about the most important newspapers of that time, so there was Hindu and Swadeshi Mitran, which was published under the editorship of G. Subramaniam Iyer. Then there was a paper known as Sudharak, which was published by Gopal Krishna Gokhale. Maratha and Kesari, which was published by Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Then India Mirror under the editorship of N. Sen. Voice of India under Dadabhai Naroji. Hindustani and Advocate under G.P. Verma and Tribune, and Akbar-e-Aam in Punjab. So many newspapers they were getting published, and what these newspapers did, Kanchan, was they created an awareness among the Indian people. So how it happened, I will tell you. The newspaper would reach a village or a small town, and like many people will gather around, and one person will read out the newspaper, the main news which were published in it, and each and every person will participate, and they will discuss the event, that this has happened or that had happened. So that way, through the newspapers, all the happenings which were happening in India that time, they were reaching the common people. So the role of the press and media was very important and crucial in the Indian national movement. Then these a local library was developed, and what was the major equipment there? One newspaper, one or two chairs, or a charpai, and a person will sit, and he or she will read out the newspaper, and people will gather around and they will listen to it. So that way people came to know about the functioning of the British government, that what they were doing, and how they were functioning in our country, and now they were able to understand, analyze, and criticize the British government, that what they were doing in our country. So to arouse political consciousness, to inculcate nationalism, to expose colonial rule. These were the major tasks which were done by the newspapers and the press that time in the colonial India. And the British government, it got so annoyed with all that, that they had to pass one act to stop it. And that act was, I will tell you, it was the Vernacular Press Act, which was passed in 1878. And it was only for the Indian language newspaper, and it clearly said that if anything seditious was found in the newspaper, then the press will be confiscated by the British government, the newspapers, everything will be taken in custody. So it was a big challenge for those people who were publishing and editing those newspapers, and a huge responsibility was there on their shoulders, because they were the people who were writing in a very simple language, yet provocative, so that the Indian youth and the common people, they come to know about the real face of the colonial rule, and do something about it, some action they could take about it, so the role of the press and the media was very important during the Indian national movement.
So, in a way, we can understand that it initiated the whole independence movement and took it this kind of provocative and this kind of getting people together, initiated the independence, right?
Yes.
The movement.
Yeah.
Now, before I go further, I would like to ask every viewer who is watching. We have an expert, and if you have any question, you can definitely ask. And if you seek any clarity, we'll be happy to provide that clarity to you. And we have one caller by the name of Chandrakant. Journalists are fourth pillar of Indian democracy. That is what a message Chandrakant is giving. So now I just look forward for anybody who wants to post any question, some people who are already watching. So coming back to this topic, I would also want to ask you that definitely in any field there are some prominent people who initiate a few aspects. And the same way, when we talk about Indian national movement, there would have been some great journalists who actually contributed. At the same time, they were also arrested, they were put in jail, and that is how curbing the freedom of press. Even today sometimes we see that, but in those times definitely that is a kind of major thing. So now my question is, the first Indian journalist who go to the jail during the struggle independence, and I would also want to discuss about the contribution and the effect of his going to jail.
Okay. So the first Indian journalist who went to jail because of all this, the publishings they were doing, was Surendranath Banerjee. He was publishing a paper known as Bengali. So one incident happened. There was a fight between the British government and the Indian people, and this case was fought in Calcutta court, and it was for a shaligram. Shaligram, you understand? That is a small black stone which Hindus consider as, a form of Lord Vishnu. So the case was about the shaligram, that stone, the idol, and the fight was that the Hindu counterpart was claiming that it was more than 100 years old. So it has a spiritual meaning and importance. The judge that time was a judge named Mr. Norris. Okay, so when he was in the court, so he said that no, it is not 100 years old, and it is maybe a very fresh stone. He did not even call it as an idol, because in our mythology we call shaligram as an idol. So this was the fight, and then the Justice Norris, he gave the judgment that it is not 100 years old. So a report was published in the this newspaper known as Bengali on 2nd April 1883 by Surendranath Banerjee, in which he criticized the judge Norris, and he compared that judge with Jeffrey and Serogs. These were the very infamous British judges in the 17th century, which were very notorious for their infamous decisions given in the court. So Surendranath Banerjee, he compared Norris with those people, and then the controversy started, and then Surendranath Banerjee was arrested and he was in jail because of this incident. So not only Surendranath Banerjee, there was Bal Gangadhar Tilak, who published these two newspapers, Kesari and Maratha. Kesari was in Marathi language and Maratha was in English. So he also went to jail and he was arrested many times, most particularly because he was demanding freedom of press. After this act, Vernacular Press Act of 1878, so all the journalists and our Indian national leaders, for example, Surendranath Banerjee, Dadabhai Naroji, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, then there was this Mr. N.N. Sen, then one Amrit Bazar Patrika, which was published by Shishir Kumar Ghosh and Motilal Ghosh. So many names are there, who were very instrumental and very bold, stating about the freedom of press. And the first person to go to jail was Surendranath Banerjee.
Okay, so going forward, we have a caller by the name of Edify, and they are asking that Indian press originated only in British time, or it was there before British Raj too?
It was there, but it was not so active because, that much of awareness was not there. And see, Britishers did one thing that after the Industrial Revolution, which happened, so they got many things to our country. For example, they got the railways, they got the postal and telegraph services, but we had like our newspapers, which were published in Indian languages, Hindi, Marathi, and Punjabi, and like area wise, whichever was the popular language, the papers were published. So, but they were not so popular. So it happened only after, I'm telling you this time period, that from 1870 to 1918, all these activities happened, and then the newspapers and the media and the press, they became very popular because they were the only medium to communicate. We never had these mobile phones or WhatsApp or social media at that time. So these newspapers were the only medium to arose, as I said, political consciousness, to show the real face of the colonial rule. And after that only the British government, they like tried to interfere and curb the freedom of press.
Okay, so I hope now the point is clear. Now, going forward, I would also want to ask you that the role of Bal Gangadhar Tilak, because he is the one great leader who was quite prominent when we talk about Indian press, when we talk about Indian independence. So, what is where you put him as a freedom fighter, at the same time the fight of secular press freedom, which is kind of a motto of the Bal Gangadhar Tilak. So, how much he has put forward this idea of freedom of press, at the same time, how much he achieved and the impact of his fight. That is, I'm sure our viewers would want to know about this particular topic.
See, Bal Gangadhar Tilak was one of the outstanding leader of militant nationalism, and he was very vocal about, the freedom of press during the Indian national movement. In 1881, along with G.G. Agarkar, he founded these two newspapers, Kesari, which was published in Marathi language, and another one was Maratha, which was published in English language. So, through his writings and in a very simple language through which he could connect with the common people, he would convey his idea, and he would convey what was happening around in India in different parts of the country through his these two newspapers, Kesari and Maratha. And he, as I told you, he was very vocal for the freedom of press during the Indian national movement. But apart from this, what he did was he started the Ganesh Utsav and the practice of traditional religious Ganpati festival to propagate nationalistic ideas through patriotic songs. And after that, the Shivaji festival. And about these two festivals, again, it was published in his two newspapers, Kesari and Maratha. So that way, not only he was very instrumental for the freedom of press, but also through his views and ideas and ideologies, he became so popular that he got a nickname known as Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak. What is the meaning of Lokmanya? Which is one who is accepted by everyone, by the common people. So he gained lot of popularity because of his these two newspapers and his writings in the newspapers. And one more thing I will tell you, Kanchan, when plague broke out in Pune, okay, and this was the time, I will tell you the time also, 1897. So that time the British government was not helping the patients or was not providing the required medical aid to the people. So that time Tilak was he stayed in Pune, and through his papers he was reporting to the public about the arrogant behavior of the British officers, how they were dealing with the pandemic in a very insensitive way. And because of that only, two Britishers were killed by the Chapekar brothers. So Tilak's role is very, very important, and because of his ideas, because as I used the word, he was a militant nationalist, he was an extremist, and he was the one who gave the slogan, Swaraj is my birthright and I shall have it. स्वराज मेरा अधिकार है और मैं इसे लेकर रहूंगा. So he was motivating the youth, he was giving this idea to the common Indian people that how important a home rule was, and how important it was for the Indians to boycott the colonial rule.
Yes, surely, and I'm sure that contribution of Bal Gangadhar Tilak is immense. And even today, we are taking some of his ideas like Ganesh Puja and Shivaji centenary. We are actually doing it, and I think this is a
I
great
think it was
impact.
2-3 days before only.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
At
So
least.
now we have another caller who, by the name of Chandrakant, he is actually asking, can printing press be considered catalyst in progress of Indian press? I mean, is that is how the Indian current modern press is evolved? Do you have any an opinion on this?
Very much. Indian press, or any press for that matter in the entire world, is definitely a catalyst in bringing a change, in bringing out the issues in front of the people, and because of them only, like uh, we can say that they are a very major factor. That's why nowadays you are observing, right, how social media has becoming so powerful, how it has become so powerful. We have Twitter, we have Facebook, and we have different apps and platforms. People are writing blogs, share it, so many things are there. So they are a part and parcel of the media. And press, definitely, because newspapers, they are part and parcel of our daily lives. Like, for some people it is like, when they get up in the morning, they require a cup of tea, and for some people it is like reading, holding a newspaper and reading it. So it is so important in our daily lives. So definitely it is, and it was, and it will be a catalyst for social change in our country, definitely.
Fine. So, if you have any more questions regarding this topic, we would happy to take up. And we will be actually, it's quite thought-provoking subject, Mrs. Meeta Joshi, and I think that when somebody is asking, it's a catalyst in the progress of Indian press. So definitely, because now when we see the kind of progress Indian press is doing, and everybody, they are glued to the television sets, and they want to find that what is new happening in the country, and what are those, not even only the political news, but there are many other news which are flooded for the common man. So, I think it is up to us to find out the genuine, at least in the modern times, the genuine, and that news which can affect and bring changes, a happy change in the lives of the people. Now, as usual, Meeta Joshi ma'am, it was wonderful. We will be discussing, taking this forward a little ahead sometime in the future, because this is quite an interesting subject. But today, whatever discussion we have done, it was awesome, and it was quite good. And I hope all the viewers who are watching, the students and everybody, must have gained something, some knowledge about that. And in case they have any more questions, please feel free to put forward. If not now, we can always ask, give you answers later in our later shows. So not a problem. So as usual, Mrs. Meeta Joshi, it was wonderful. We'll be meeting again with us, some different good topic regarding historical reflection. So till that moment, I'm saying bye. See you. Take care.
Thank you, Kanchan.
So we had a wonderful discussion regarding the freedom of press, which has become so crucial, at least for today, because press actually give the news which are important to everybody, and we come to know that this is what is happening in and around us and in the country. So definitely, but at the same time, a word of caution that you should find out the right channel and the right people who give the genuine news. That is kind of a challenge at the moment. But anyhow, but the discussion we have done regarding the freedom of press in the independent struggle, it was quite a critical, quite challenging situation, must have been handled by a lot of good and a lot of profound people, and that is gave way to our freedom. So we will be meeting again, and with more thought-provoking ideas and the topic which you like most. You can always write to us. So see you again. Till then, bye bye, take care.